Ernest Holmes says, we use our God-given power of choice, either to use the law constructively or destructively. Our God-given power of choice. How many times have we heard, well, I just didn't have a choice? How many times have you said it yourself, I just didn't have a choice? And what a story that is. We do have a choice. Just think of all the choices you've made already today. I don't know what time you get up in the morning, but whatever time it is, first of all, you make the choice to get up. You make the choice to fling back the covers and fling your legs over the side of the bed and stand upright. You make that choice. You have the choice. You can lie there or get up. That's the first choice you make. And then you choose what you're going to eat for breakfast. Or maybe you choose to brush your teeth first. I don't know. I like to eat breakfast first. But you choose what you're going to have for breakfast. And then you choose to go in and get dressed. Now you could stay in your pajamas all day, but that's a choice too. And then you chose today to get in your car and come here. And you could have chosen to stay at home, but you didn't. You chose to come here instead. Now if you start counting the choices you make already today, you're going to be very surprised. And some of you are going to think, well, I didn't really choose to do that. It's just something I do. No, you do. You choose. We choose, whether we choose consciously or unconsciously. That's the thing about this life. We always make a choice, consciously or unconsciously. Either we realize what we're doing, or we just do it by rote. So you do have a choice. So when you think, well, I don't have a choice, remember all the things that you do every day. Your life is a reflection of those choices. Your body is a reflection of the foods that you have eaten in the past. A lot of times we just eat because we like to eat. We like the taste of the food. We like the taste of whatever it is that we're eating. And we don't even think about what we're putting into our mouths. But your body is a reflection of all of those foods. And your body is a reflection of whether you exercise or not. Most of us, unless there's a particular exercise like surfing that we really fall in love with, we think about exercise as something that's akin to eating the worst food we could possibly think of. But our bodies were made to move. Their bodies weren't made to sit all day. And so our bodies are a reflection of what we eat and the exercise and how we spend our time. Your bank account is a reflection of the choices about how you spend your money. We all don't like to think about that when we look at a bank account that's low and we're thinking, where did it all go? And we start totaling it up and we realize how much money we spend. And sometimes we spend money that we really shouldn't have. So our bank accounts are also reflections of the choices that we make about how we spend our money. Where you live is a choice. Some of us think, well, I didn't choose this particular place to live, but truly you did. Everyone in here has made a choice to come to this area. Whether we did it consciously or unconsciously, we make a choice. Your job is a choice. Somewhere you chose to say yes to the particular job that you have, or not. If you don't have a job, that was a choice too. Sometimes we think, well, I didn't choose to be unemployed. But somewhere you start to dissect it, you begin to see how the choices that you made, whether it was a choice to say, well, no, I'm not going to go to work today, and that led to your becoming unemployed somehow. But it's a choice whether you really want to admit it or not. Your friends are your friends by choice. We don't have friends by default. Or we not have friends by default. Somehow or another, we have made a choice to have a friend or not to have a friend. spend your time on a daily basis is a choice. You get to choose minute by minute how you're going to spend that time. Even if you have a job, you choose to go to that job because you know the consequences if you don't go to that job. But it still is a choice. Every day we get to choose. That's the beauty of living in this country. We get to choose how we're going to spend our time. And so I invite you to choose wisely. Today I was talking about success as a choice. I've been talking about success the last few weeks. And however you define success, I've always defined success as achieving my dreams. And my dreams are always about things I want to do, not necessarily about making a bundle of money, although I wouldn't mind that either. But however you define success, it's a choice to become successful. Some of us are afraid of being successful, and so we sabotage it, and that too is a choice, consciously or unconsciously. But nevertheless, you get to decide if you're going to be a success in life, however you define it. And your choices and success depend, like everything else, on your thoughts, your feelings, and your beliefs. Your thoughts. How do you feel? What do you think about success? What does it mean to you to have a successful life? When you get to the end of your days, when you're facing that last breath, are you going to look back on your life and think, oh, I had a successful life? And you know, there's nothing wrong with wanting a successful life. Some of us think that there's a stigma attached to wanting to be successful because we're looking at other people who have defined success in their own ways, and we think there's something not quite spiritual about being a success. Well, let's look at some of our spiritual leaders. Let's see, let's start with Jesus. You think Jesus was successful? Probably some would think, well, no, really, because, you know, in our day, we would probably call him a beggar because he didn't have a home. He ran around in sandals. He certainly didn't wear pantyhose. He had no roof over his head. He ran around with a bunch of vagabond people. Some people would call him kind of scurvy. You know, fishermen kind of have an air about them. There was that tax collector. Let's see, what was his name? Oh, it doesn't matter. Nevertheless, he was a tax collector. You know how we feel about tax collectors. And Jesus was at the mercy of people who wanted to, or didn't want to, provide him with food or money. So, and oh yes, there's that last little thing about Jesus. He was crucified. He was nailed to a cross in front of the hundreds of people who said, "Crucify him!" So do you call that successful? Well, guess what? Here it is, 2,000 years later, we're still talking about him. His name goes down in history. So is that how you define success? Maybe. And then there's John Fitzgerald Kennedy. If you look at his bank account, you would probably say, yes, he was successful because of his inheritance. And then he was the senator. And then he's president of the United States. My goodness, if you can reach the presidency of the United States, wouldn't you think that's successful? And he had a beautiful wife and 2 beautiful children. And oh yes, there's that thing about him too. He was assassinated. Isn't it interesting how we tend to kill all of our leaders, our successful leaders? And then there's John Lennon. We still sing his songs. And if you look at his bank account, you would call him successful. And if you think about the fact that millions of people still know his name after all these years, you'd probably say he's successful. Guess what happened to him? He was assassinated. Maybe I don't want to be successful. How do you define success is totally up to you. If you define success as you get up in the morning at your leisure, whenever you feel like it, and you have your morning coffee or tea in the comfort of your own home, and you don't have to worry about getting up and going to work someplace because you've made your living a way that you have arranged your life in a way that you don't have to go off to work someplace. Or perhaps you get up in the morning and you have a wonderful job waiting and you can go to that job and that's how you spell success. That's wonderful. It doesn't matter how you define it, as long as you understand that it's a choice that you make and there's no stigma to being successful. Because what it means is that you are allowing that divine power to flow through you, to be all that you can be, and to let God live its life through you. To me, this is the most successful person of all, a person who knows where his power comes from. And he lets that power flow through him and out from him, and that power touches other people. And he lives a life of love and abundance because he knows where his success comes from. Because this is what success is. It is exactly what you believe about yourself, and if you believe that you and God are one, then you are successful right then. It doesn't matter how much money there is in your bank account. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter how you spend your days. Because when you know that you and God are one, then you are successful. And this is the way you know when you are successful. When you have chosen wisely. When you know yourself. When you get to know yourself at a very deep level. And when you begin to know yourself, then you will begin to know that greater self that is your true self. You will know that you and God are one. And when you know this, you know that you are unlimited. You know that there are no limits to anything that you want to do or how you want to live your life. When you know that you and God are one. This is how I define success. I know that God and I are one, and no matter what else is going on in my life, I know this is my truth, and that's all that counts to me. So I invite you to ask yourself, how do you spell success?